Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Wil. I am so excited about the book we're going to review today. It's by an author who made a major impression on me early in my career. Who's that author and what's he talking about? You got to stay tuned to find out, but please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. I want to give a big shout out to our two-time Amazon best-selling author, Nick Menard at nickmenard.com. His latest Amazon bestseller, The 1% Push Legacy. Thank you, Nick Menard.
Thank you, Wil. Hello, Wil. Hello, winners.
Hello. So, the book we're going to review today, most people who are listening to this probably won't know it. But it's called The Psychology of Success by Brian Tracy. And Brian Tracy was somebody when early in my career, I was in a lot of different sales roles. And he was like a sales guru type. So think of Tony Robbins for salespeople kind of thing. And just an impressive guy. And so it made a major impression on me. And, Nick and I were talking about, what are some other things we should do? So we're dipping a little bit in the blast from the past just to bring this forward to a lot of people who are listening who probably don't know that name, and hope we do it justice and that you enjoy The Psychology of Success from Brian Tracy. But, I know you had awareness of him. I know we were talking about it, but just some of your high level thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, if you are in direct sale industry, you know Brian Tracy because he's very popular with his, motivational speeches, the belief effect. But I think this book is perfect for a Monday Mindset episode because it's practical, direct, and execution focused. So very aligned with leadership, entrepreneurship, performance, mindset, everything we talk about every Monday. So I'm very pleased when Wil brought that up to my attention, say, hey, we should do this book. I'm like, I'm in. So excited for that.
Yeah. No, it's good. And one of the things before we jump into our favorite segment is with Brian Tracy. So here's an interesting fun fact of us. He used to sell his programs in like these big cases where they hold like 8 cassette tapes. And I remember popping it in my car and listening to it. And he told this story once that always kind of stuck with me. And one of the biggest sales he ever made, he was in a boardroom looking at a prospect and they locked eyes. And Brian Tracy always had this kind of thing like, I'm not going to be the first one to break eye contact, right? Well, apparently this prospect felt the same way. And they locked eyes for 3 minutes, which doesn't sound like a long time, but just think about that. Like if you ever have a staring contest with somebody. Anyway, long story short, the prospect finally acquiesced, said, okay, you're the first one to ever get me. You have the deal. And it was basically because he won an eye staring contest with the guy.
Wow.
He's like, anybody who has that kind of fortitude, I'm going to believe in what he's sharing.
That's fantastic. And I didn't hear about that. I never heard about that story, but it's pretty cool and not surprised coming from Tracy because he has those ideas and he's very, when you listen to him, you cannot stop listening because he's so like, you get attracted by him when he's talking. So that's powerful. That's definitely great.
Yeah. So even though he used to tailor his stuff to salespeople, this is applicable for anybody and certainly in leadership. So let's get into our favorite segment, quotes and quips.
Quips.
There we go. Love it. All right, here we go. So the first quote is from Brian, and I just like the way he words this one. And so Brian Tracy did the quote. Goals are the fuel in the furnace of achievement. Thoughts on that one?
Well, yeah, we thought having goal, we cannot achieve nothing. So you need to have certain goal to be able to get somewhere. It has to be attainable, but it has to be a challenge to attain it. Otherwise, it's not a goal. It's probably more of a target. Like we discussed in the past, you have goal, target, and aspirational goal. Those are treating
Mm-hmm.
different. The target is the minimum that needs to be happening in order to be where the company, your business should be. The goal is a little bit more just to have a challenge and to want to overperforming. And then the aspiration goal is like, if we reach that, woo, we are in a really, really good spots. And so, and then there's 100% after that, whatever it is that you sell or whatever it is. But, um, but I agree. So think clearly about what should be your goal. Definitely when you own your own business, like with the travel agency, like I have a goal every year about different goals. And I really challenge myself to get it. And I don't get last year, I missed my goal, but not by much. And I'm a lot further than I was the year before. So again, a goal is something that you cannot attain anything if you don't have one. So people who
Right.
said, I will try to be the further possible I could be, usually they don't go very far. And so that's what it is about the quote in my estimation.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the thing about it, I know sometimes people may be like, "Oh, goal, goal, goal," but the reason why I like it with the what it's like the furnace of achievement is very rarely can you just wanderously drift and be successful. Like you can get lucky, like anybody can get lucky,
Yeah.
you know. But do you want to rely on luck? Or do you wanna apply a system of success and stack successes? And, that's kind of what came into my mind, but I also like that furnace of achievement. I might borrow that in the future in a
Yeah.
future talk or
And
something
and
like
and
that.
and luck is not sustainable neither. So luck is not something you can work on and pile down. It's just it
Yeah,
will happen one time, but good luck having a second time that luck.
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. The next one is and I like this one because it it really puts the accountability on the person. Like, have you ever met people, I know I have, where the reason they're not more successful, it's always someone else's fault, or it's
Mhm.
always circumstances' fault, or something like that. Well, the quip is also from Brian Tracy. We're doing double dip the chip with Brian Tracy today on the quotes and quips. And his quip is your life only gets better when you get better.
Yeah, exactly. If you wait, it's like the happiness in relationship. If you wait for the other person to be happy, it's usually not the best way. The best way to to be best in your skin is to be happy first, and then you will be able to get even more happy with the help of someone else. And it's the same in business. Like if you want to achieve something, like I said all the time, like if you create something on your own and you achieve a certain level, it will be so much more valuable than if you just get it from someone else. Like even though the money is the same, if you compare and the money that you get would be the same, there is nothing comparable of the thing that you actually create and that you know exactly every step and every sweat and tear that you had to get where you need to be. So I I totally I can agree with that 100%.
Yeah, me too. And I think, when it's kind of a little bit of a tough love, but it's a tough love in a way. It doesn't mean to beat yourself up. It doesn't mean like, "Oh, why didn't I do better?" or anything like that. It really should be inspiring, like, "Okay, this is what I did," like, deconstruct it. "This is what I did. This is what the implications of that. This is how I could do things differently faced with a similar situation to get a better outcome." And, if that's applying to yourself, that obviously is it as well. Like I've been in a certain career path for quite a while. I feel like I've developed a number of different skills that have aided me in my role, but it's still an unfinished book. There's other skills to hone and things like that in terms of leading leaders and building strong organizations. And so I push myself because candidly, if I ever got in a conversation with, say, a CFO and they threw a bunch of financial statements at me, I'd probably know a few, wouldn't cover a lot, but it's an area to hone, right? Because obviously CFOs can make a lot of decisions, and if you really want to get funding for things, you have to be able to talk the CFO's language in a big
I love it.
organization. Yeah.
And it's something I value a lot about you because I know you like we talk about it and you're a fantastic leader, but you want to learn more. You always want to get better. You will always want to add, you know, like something additional that you can learn from, that you can apply to help your team and your organization, but also help yourself move up because you want to continuously learn of what else can I add to my heart, like, so that's
Mhm.
that's pretty cool. And you apply what you say. That's what I'm gonna say. So that's
Oh,
good,
thank you.
because everybody said all the time, as a leader, as a person, you need to always work on your personal development, professional development. And that's usually the piece that we always leave for the end. For, oh, if I have room in my calendar at the end of the week, at the end of the month, I'm gonna spend some time for that. While the real leader, they schedule it and it's non-negotiable. This is something that it's the most important for me, or maybe not the most important, but as important as the other. And
Yeah,
and usually the first thing that, oh, I have another meeting, I will cancel this one. Well, the real leader, the people who actually progress and get somewhere in life, that schedule block is not gonna move. It's mandatory. So
yeah,
yeah, so that's definitely something important.
yeah. Cheers to that, brother. Thank you. Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
All right. So let's get back to Mr. Tracy and his book, The Psychology of Success. So basically, the premise he talks about is success is an inside out game. So you can tell from both the quote and the quip that we use that touches along that theme: build the inside, it'll come out of the outside. His core premise is success is not luck. It's not just due to talent, and it's not about background. It's a predictable result of clear goals, disciplined action, positive self-concept, so believing in yourself, and you are fantastic with that, by the way, my friend, and responsibility for outcomes. And so, it's really kind of a brass tacks type of book where it's an easy read, talks to you straight, but his core assertion is, you become what you think about most of the time. And there's other people who've talked about that. Aristotle talked about it thousands of years ago. Earl Nightingale is somebody who also talked about that. Dennis Waitley talked about that. But you become what you think about most of the time. So if you have a negative self-image, probably have more challenges than somebody who has a more positive self-image.
Yeah, very true, very, very true. And I would resume that to one word, is discipline. you
Mm,
know and he even say that in his book. It's not about motivation, it's about mental discipline. And that's literally what it is. You need to be consistent, to have a clear focus, to not have hundreds things to think about at the same time. You focus about something very specific, like we like to say, the critical few, and
mhm.
have that discipline to keep that as a number one priority. And that's something that he's very clear about, in not only in his book, in his talks, in everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's still plugging away. I think like
He
he's
has
no
his
spring
family.
chicken.
He has his son and everything, like, who are part of it, but there is nothing like him talking. Like,
Yeah.
he's the man.
Yeah, and he always dresses dapper. Like,
Mhm.
you ever notice some people just wear suits well? Like,
Yeah.
he's always got the perfect tie, great suit fits. I get, like, suits sometimes a bunch in the shoulders or whatever, man. He's always impeccable. So, hats off to Mr. Tracy and his business attire.
Yeah, and then, hey, if you want to follow him, I mean, I don't know how old he is, but he's high up there, and
Yeah.
on LinkedIn you can still follow him, and he
Yeah,
still posts daily. Like,
yeah,
it's impressive, and in his post is not like something in a chat GTP. It's literally him talking on video. Like, he's very active to this day, and we need to enjoy him. As much as we can, because I don't know how old he is, but he's old. But he looks still like, very. I think his
oh, yeah.
mindset is unbeatable. He believes so much and he accomplished so much that he wants to keep going. He's never going to retire.
Yeah, you can always tell someone who's driven by legacy. There's
Mm,
a different way about them, how they operate, male or female. They wanna leave a mark long
yeah.
after they're gone. He's definitely one of those types. So, a few of the themes we talked about: you become what you think about. We talked about personal responsibility is non-negotiable, goals driving behavior. So his big practical lens here is clarity precedes achievement, and you wanna write goals daily. So he's always been a big proponent of take a sheet of paper, write one goal, list some activities underneath that goal that are time bound to do it, and then go after it. Because if you just put the goal itself, but you don't jot down some of the supportive actions that'll help make the goal happen, probably less likely that the goal gets realized.
Yeah, and he's the one who is very famous. Maybe it will come back in people's minds when they hear this, and they probably saw that somewhere on YouTube or social media because he's very famous. He's the guy, Brian Tracy, who mentioned, "Hey, you put like you said, you write down your priorities, and you put from 1 to 10. By doing so, the first three should be the most important because they're the first one who came to mind, and then every day you write something was to do with how can you help my main priority, and then when you start not knowing what else to do, you scratch that one until you have one left. And that one left, what you have all those ideas to continue to improve, that's your main priority. And he made reels about this. He made like YouTube video about this, about the importance of writing everything down and always challenge you to add something into it that you can work on in order to understand what the real like number one priority should be when you're not sure, when you have too many on the page.
Yeah. No, that's outstanding, and you're right. Yeah, that's one of the things he's become known for is that discipline with the goal setting. Um, the other thing we touched on a little bit ago, we can go in a little deeper, is self-concept determines performance. So people perform in alignment with how they see themselves. But the thing about it is when you change your identity and you change your behavior, you're going to change the results. So if you think of yourself as a poor person, your behavior is probably going to be that of somebody who makes decisions of somebody who's not very affluent, right? Could be risk aversion. It could be any number of things. Um, and then they get the results and are like, why is that? Change your behavior. So I don't necessarily love this quote, but it has some relevance, like the fake it till you make it. I, be your genuine self. Just change your identity. Give yourself more credit and go after it. Think of yourself as one of the easiest ways, I think we may have shared this in a podcast before, is add the word yet at the end. So I will make $1 million in the next year. I or I haven't done it yet. Or I will be successful in doing XYZ, and these are the things that I'll do, and eventually you'll get there. But frame it in a way where it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I guess that's probably a better way of what I'm trying to get after to share it. But I know you do good at that. Like you're great at your goal setting. You set different things. And even like you mentioned earlier, you set a goal for last year, you fell short. You still had a record year. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So, yeah, you may have fell short a little bit of the goal. You still did a heck of a lot better than the previous year, and you did very well compared to some of your peers. So
Yeah.
that's not a
And
bad way to miss a goal.
no, and no, exactly, and exactly, and everything you just said is about a mindset philosophy. Like again, it's not. I'm with you. Like fake it until make it. It's always something that's a little bit like it may be dangerous for some people, but you need to be able to put yourself in the shoes of someone that you want to become.
Mhm,
And it be like you said about yet for example, but it comes in different form. You can also monitor your self talk. So when you
mhm,
talk in the mirror, like in the morning after brushing your teeth or whatever, talk like you are making it. You are making it. I always said in when I'm 50 years old, I will be able to do whatever I want to do in life. I'm not saying I'm going to retire because that's the thing. If I love what I do, why would I retire? But I would have the opportunity to do it if I want to. All right.
mhm,
But I work harder, maybe no, probably no that than most because I know that I have that goal in mind and I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to wait to be in crutches to be able to start living my life. I want to do it earlier. And it goes by the mindset philosophy that you have. It goes by the amount. I mean, who are you surrounding? I mean, we always say that surround yourself with a higher standard or higher, people that you model or people who can help you grow or people that you
mhm.
want eventually to reach that level of those people. So that's why it's very important, all those things. And if you do that, you will probably achieve a lot more in life than if you just stay put and hope for the best.
Yeah, totally agree. Well said. Totally agree with that. Some other aspects from the book, continuous learning compounds. So we touched on that earlier. Like you got to continue to invest in yourself and upskill in areas. Action eliminates fear. I think Brian Tracy must have heard some of our podcasts because we talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we had the review a few podcasts ago about Ryan Holiday and the obstacle is the way. Do the thing you fear, anxiety shrinks. Usually, like people have this with speaking, right? Public speaking, that's typically one of the biggest fears for most people. But if you start small and you just start, eventually it will lessen because you'll gain confidence in it. Um, this one is right up your alley. The discipline is the bridge. And so, delay gratification, do what needs to get done first, all the stuff you're sharing earlier. Positive expectation shapes results. It feels like he maybe helped co-author the 1% push. I don't know if he did that on there. You got Brian Tracy in on the 1% push, but
Well, I have to
uh,
admit now, yes, no.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But, I mean, there's so many good nuggets, and like I said, he has a lot of stories, so when he tells that's one of the good thing about people who are good speakers or good authors, is they have really good stories, articulate the
Mm,
points. Here at Two for the Win, we're giving you, like, the tactical nuggets, so to speak, but go out there, check out The Psychology of Success by Brian Tracy because it's gonna illuminate a lot of these things and bring it to life and maybe connect with you in a way where you can apply it. So, um, any other thoughts you wanna share on this,
yeah.
brother, before I, go into the wrapping up?
Yes, no, I hear a lot of times, like that people, directly or indirectly, they said, like, I don't have the confidence, how can you help give me the confidence that I need in order to achieve it? And I always said you need to build discipline because if you build discipline, you will become so great at what you do because you have the discipline to learn, the discipline to act. It's very important because a lot of people learn, 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 never action. So it has to be a mix of learning and action. But if you have the discipline to do it consistently, what do you think what's going to happen to the confidence? It's going to raise. It's what you said. I forgot what you said about when your fear shrink. I forgot what you said.
Oh,
Oh
yeah, when you
man,
take action, fear shrinks or the
exactly.
anxiety
But it's the
lessens.
same with
Yeah,
confidence. When
yeah.
when when the fear dropped, confidence goes up. And it comes from habits, from disciplines. So it's very important, if whatever you want to do in life, that you always think about how can be more better at it, or I can have more confidence, how can I feel better about everything, just by discipline. Have the discipline to do it constantly, and it has to be constantly, not a one-time thing. You mentioned as a speaker, I spoke a few times the last year, and I have I had, like, I think my 3rd or 4th speech last year. I felt very confident, I felt very good about it. Well, that speech was better than the one after, you know, because I didn't prepare the same way for the next speech, because I felt too early, too much confidence. And then on the next one, I felt, well, because it's a be consistently disciplined, because you always can get better, but if you stop training, you will probably regress. So it's important that you have that discipline to always have the right thing to do at the right time in order to continue to improve whatever you achieved. If it's speaking, it's speaking. But what I mean by that is that you cannot stop when you feel like you did something great once. If you're a seller, if you sell something and you have a great presentation with a prospect, maybe the prospect was helping you because the prospect was not that hard. But the next one will challenge you and you will not be as prepared because you felt so good about the previous one. So, what I want to say is that continue to have that discipline consistently. And that's what's going to bring, you know, success and more.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, what Brian talks about, expect success, prepare rigorously. Like we just wrapped up the Winter Olympics a month ago, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, you think about like some of the difference between gold and silver and bronze, it's like fractions of a second. It's like hundredths of a second in some cases, whether it's skiing or bobsled or whatever. So, I mean, can you imagine like you prepare? all your life, and it's coming down to just milliseconds on stuff. But that sometimes is the difference. Now, I'm not saying everyone has to go out there and prepare like an Olympic athlete per se, but the discipline, to your point, that they have and the persistence, it's applying the learnings. How do I take the action, apply the learnings, and continue to try to get just 1% better? Plug for the book, 1% better. Because if you do that, it compounds. And that could be the difference between you maybe finishing in the middle of the pack or you finishing at the higher of the pack at your organization. Could be the difference between your business that you're building being okay enough to pay the bills versus something that creates a lifestyle change for your family. It's not big events. Success is not an event. It's a culmination of doing the little things consistently well over and over again. And so that's what my co-host has been talking about for quite a while, including in today's episode. And that's what this book is about as well. And so have that mindset, have that identity, go after it, get better, apply it, learn, grow, and it's just a matter of when, not if, you'll continue to raise the bar of success for yourself and whatever endeavor that is for you.
Yeah.
So,
So a full summary. What is success? It's discipline, it's belief, and it's clarity. Because
mm,
clarity is important. And that's something we struggle a lot in different businesses because there's too much going on. Focus on the critical few and be great at those critical few. At the end of the day, you will have success. And if you do that with discipline and belief, success in the other side.
cheers to that. I hear you. Awesome. Well, there you have it, winners. The Psychology of Success by Brian Tracy. Highly recommend. You can find it in the description and the link. It's also on audiobook if you want to check it out. And like Nick mentioned, he posts all the time. So he's looking to continue to make his mark and help people get a little bit better. So that'll wrap up today's episode of Monday Mindset. Please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for Win on your favorite platform. We're on all of them, including YouTube. And please check out our today's sponsor, Nick Menard, at nickmenard.com, and his book, The 1% Push Legacy. That'll do it for this Monday, winners. We'll see you next week.
Bye, winners.